Hey, this is Austin with Big Woods Bucks. I'm here with Denny Gipe and Dave Williams, and we're going to talk about tents today. So the first tent we're going to talk about is the Red Cliff from Seek Outside. This is actually Brian's tent. It's a 6-man tent without a stove, 3 with a stove. What do you guys think of this one?
Nice tent. Initial footprint, I think it's perfect for 3 men. 2 men right there, side by side. 1 right here in the stove. So this is a perfect, comfortable outfit for 3 people, in my opinion.
The thing I notice about this one that's nice is the stove jack is directly in the back.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it keeps the stove centered that way instead of like some of the other ones where it's off to one side or the other.
Yeah.
Now, what's nice about these is if you have an organized footprint where you have obviously the 3 bags and pads, you can put your 3 packs in here, everybody, 1 location, 1 tent, and it's just the experience obviously with multiple individuals is so much greater than when you're out there on your own. It's just one of the things that we always benefit from. The bigger the footprint, the more that you could accommodate, the more laughs, the more stories, the more fun, right?
What if you guys were to like take this, like how long, like what's like the minimum amount of days you'd want to take this tent for?
Well, it depends. If you have a footprint that you've already located that can accommodate this, I wouldn't mind using this year round. But majority of the time, something like this, I'd like to do at least 4 or 5 days in. But again, it's location, location, location. You could have the greatest place you want to go to, but if you don't have a footprint that can accommodate a flat, cleared out location, it's tough. That's the only thing with these. And we're going to show you some other tents with a smaller footprint later on that are just going to be a little bit easier, that wherever your day ends, you can obviously drop your pack and set up. But no, it's not, like I said, the ability to hang clothes. It's amazing how fast space eliminates, especially with a stove, hanging gear. But these style tents, more importantly, these size tents allow you into far greater later in the season, no matter what the conditions are. And these things are flat out bulletproof.
Perfect setup for 2 people. Plenty of room.
Palace.
It's a castle with 2 people.
When you get the snow starting to compress on the sides and whatever, you know, if you got a group of 3, this will work for 3. If you got 2, it's perfect for 2.
And this is the Red Cliff Light, so it only has 1 door instead of 2.
Right.
So that's why the stove jack's on the back. But on the Light, you also get line locks down here. So if you're in the wintertime and you want to cinch it to the ground, you can. Summertime, you want some air underneath, you can lift it up. It's got the guy outs around, so it really creates a lot of shoulder height too. So when this thing's guyed out, there's a lot of space in there.
And the biggest thing is we've learned through the years with all our Seek Outside tents is practice using them before you go in the field. Because there's times it's pouring rain, it's dark, it's cold, and there's nothing worse than fumbling, stumbling, not having that proper setup. We're all perfectionists. We want to have the best setup, but having experience prior in the field, we have found is priceless.
Absolutely. Practice.
Yep.
You need practice.
Absolutely. Yep. We are, as majority of hunters are, we're weather geeks. We're going to know the best information we can on the conditions we're going to go into prior to leaving. But you're absolutely right. There could be a lake effect band that sets up that maybe is a little bit more unpredictable. We learned last year we had a situation where there was a very heavy, wet snow that we didn't really have anything preparing us with a fly over our outfit, and we had a lot of snow fall out from those trees that happened to be in the area that made for a sleepless night that night. But you're absolutely right. That's why these guy out points, trying to utilize every one of these that's available to you. I know that there's times that the more taut that we could make this tent, the better that stuff is going to slide off. A lot of this stuff is going to pull in down at the bottom. But one thing we try to do as well is not to have it as taut when we do go. Say that weather does break, sun comes out. I don't want that pole to be bending because that material with that sun may be making things obviously a little bit more compressible on that center pole. But yeah, the ability to, like I said, guy out, make things more rigid, more spacious, especially in these snow events, is crucial.
Over time, if you're on soft ground, the center pole might start sinking.
That's a great point.
So you might want to put like a flat stone under it to keep it going.
Do it
And a
all
lot
the
of
time.
the center poles are adjustable, so you can, you know, if you pitch the tent with like the adjustment in the middle, you always have room to tighten it up
That's
more.
right.
So there's a lot of like different little learning things.
Yep.
None of the tents we have today have liners set up in them because it's 90 degrees out.
The Sixman does.
Oh, you have the liner in there?
Yes.
All right, cool. We'll
Yep.
talk about that.
They are worth their weight in gold.
Yep.
They are.
You made a mention about out west and the weather that they have and experience than we have here in the east. The humidity levels here in the east is night and day what they have out west. You could literally out west pick up wood off the ground in some cases and start a fire. You can't do that here in the east. So with that, condensation is either makes or breaks, and we have found that those liners, there may be an additional 10 to 12 ounces with some of these full-size tents that we have to carry, but you brush up against that line or that liner and you're bone dry. And that is priceless, especially
Yeah.
when you got all your gear laid out, you're sleeping.
It's not raining on you all the
Right.
time. It's nice to stay dry.
Absolutely.
For sure. Liners are well worth it. All right, so this is the Seek Outside Sixman. Dave's had this tent for a long time. It's this is actually the tent that saved Dad's life when he went through the ice about a decade ago. So Dave, take us through your tent.
Well, this is my historical tent. I think when Seek Outside was young in their enterprise, I picked this up, and this has been our go-to. This is like the standard that they used, other than the 8-man or the 10-man. This is it. This is the typical teepee. So as you can see, comes with a center pole. This happens to be the carbon fiber center pole. In the field, I would never pack this in realistically. This is for demonstration purposes and whatever, but we'd cut a spruce pole, a dead spruce pole, get the length and shove it up in there. Put some dead wood or a stone underneath that center pole to stop it from sinking into the muck of the Adirondacks. Same thing with tent stakes. We don't carry tent stakes into the woods. The earth is so soft, we would take dead spruce, 1/2-inch caliper type of stuff and just shove them in and stake it out. You'd be surprised, especially when they freeze in, it isn't going anywhere. Critical thing, the liner. I won't sleep in a tent without the liner. This is mandatory, stops that condensation from dripping, or if you roll your sleeping bag or gear against the side of the tent, this is a must. For summer, if you can keep air going underneath it with this ventilation, it doesn't collect a whole lot of condensation. So the liner is really cold weather type of thing. So again, they call this the Sixman, but comfortable, perfect comfort, it's 2-man. You have your backpack and you're sleeping on each side. The tent or the stove is right here, and your stove jack we keep so that we could rotate side to side. One morning Dennis will make the fire, the next morning we rotate the wood stove and I make the fire and the guy sleeps in, because it's cold sometimes when you get up in the morning.
So now seeing the Red Cliff, which one would you rather have?
So this is tough in a circular pattern for 3 people. You know, we did it last year, and it's just tough to get 3 people with 3 backpacks in here. If you leave your backpack outside and cover things up, you know, the 6-man is a 3-man, but it's perfect comfort for 2 men.
It's one thing is that we've learned years ago, and this has been since thousands of years. Teepee styles are so weather friendly with wind. You get a lot of sidewall tents, especially with some of the storms, obviously, that we've been in through the years. These circular teepees, the wind spills off of them, spills around them, so much easier. You don't get the blow in. And you wouldn't think that some of these tents, you know, as far as space and ground space, you can, if you're strategic with how you lay out your camp, run a clean camp, you can do very well with 3 guys, backpacks. But if you have an individual next to you that likes to throw their gear all over the place, obviously you're going to stumble. But it's just really accommodating. Again, the weights that these are able to come in at and the ability to go in walking and have a comfortable hot tent is it still blows me away that the conditions that we've been able to endure and the places we've been able to see. We couldn't do that with 40-pound wall tents and things of that nature. But
Right. So ease of setup with this tent too. You stake the front, you stake the back with the zipper. It's super easy, and you just start pulling it taut. Teepees don't like unlevel ground. None of these tents like unlevel ground. But once you get it plumb and on semi-level ground, knocking snow off of it is super easy. You can see with the red cliff, there can be some buildup. So some of the other tents, this in heavy snow performs awesome. Steep sides, no areas for the snow to accumulate and sag. It will sag, but again, when you're inside, knocking the snow off around the perimeters, and the wood stove going.
Now this doesn't have any guy outs, does it?
Yes, it
yeah,
does.
it does.
Does it?
You see
Yeah.
them
Oh,
here
okay.
up on the side.
Yep. We don't use the guy outs too often, but it helps, especially in your sleeping quarters. Here's a guy out.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll tie it off to a tree, or you can go to a pole where you can go up over the pole and guy to
Yep.
elevate your guys. So that's
Yep.
just another little technique.
And when you have these liners in too, a lot of times we'll lean our packs upright against the outside wall, which will help obviously with any of that sag.
Yep.
I'll bring a sponge in, or you could bring some type of material to wipe off the condensation too, or the pooling that you may have with the water too. But no, they're phenomenal. Like I said, the versatility is really sometimes unmatched, but great product.
So this is the Seek Outside Simmeron. This is actually my tent. This one, I put the stove in it so you can get a look at that. And that's actually my Seek Outside Silverton backpack with the Evo frame. But I know you have a Simmeron.
I bought one when they first came out. This is for me my favorite tent, bar none. I have, which you'll see coming up here, Silex, the one man. But one man, when you start factoring in your bag, your pad, your sleeping bag, obviously, your wood stash as well. It's amazing how space quickly gets eliminated. And I have had luxury in the Simmeron on my own, but it's also, like I said, accommodating for 2 people with a stove, that you could be strategic with your gear. It's perfect for that scenario as well. But I think this is for versatility. I don't tend to go more than with 2 guys most of the time, sometimes 3, but this has been by far my favorite model that they have in the lineup.
Yeah, you can fit 2 people in here pretty comfortably.
Absolutely.
For the most part. And, it's not as comfortable as if you were in like the 6-man with 2 people, but by yourself, it's like a whole world difference. So you have more room than you could ask for one person.
The combination, I know I use the medium-sized stove, and that is perfect in all conditions. We've had some really zero nights, and it's amazing. I have the liner for mine, again, which is the one thing that we found one of the most important pieces that you could buy as an accessory with these is those liners.
I had the liner as well. I just didn't put it in.
But no, versatility for, like I said, 1 to 2 guys is awesome.
And this is something that I would say we would use if we did like a long weekend trip. I take the wood stove on my pack. Dennis takes the tent on his pack. You can get through 2 nights, 3 nights. If I was doing anything more than 3 nights, probably wouldn't be my choice. But bombing in, lightweight, quick setup, hot, hot tent.
80 degrees.
This is a great outfit. The only disadvantage for a tent like this to me would be the height and drying ability for some of our gear, where if we had a 6-man or whatever, we have things hanging up in the top of there, so it doesn't quite have the height to do drying, but we use those wood stoves for cooking.
Yeah.
That's the key. Take the chill off, do your breakfast, dry out some gear. So this is a great intermediate outfit.
Absolutely.
Don't you agree, Denny?
Absolutely.
So,
like I said, the dry lines that we're accustomed to, like with Dave's 6-man, is really sweet. But I was explaining to Austin some of the things that we do, like whether it's a little spruce pole. I even now have the ability they have a product now that I'll show you in the next clip here, that I could take my 2 trekking poles on top of each other
Yeah.
and expand. But I'll take either a hose clamp with a little dime and tighten it up with a little S hook that you can hang your boots off that pole or your trekking poles, or you could tie a line paracord from the top and go down to one of your pegs for a little dry line, which I found's been awesome. But again, you're getting to some really lightweight in your pack for a shelter that's a hot tent that you can be in a variety of conditions and be bulletproof.
Yep. Perfect for 2 people.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's worked great for us for 2 years,
Yeah.
and you know we can still dry our gear in there pretty good. Just got to get a little creative sometimes, and a lot of the time we can't get stuff too close to the stove or the pipe because it's wool,
Right.
so it'll end up shrinking anyways.
True.
And then you guys use a lot of down,
Yep.
and
Yep.
you know what happens to down when
Yep.
it gets hot and melts.
Yep.
So yeah, I love this tent. I mean, I think for if you can set up like the Red Cliff, like Dad and my brother are going to do this year, I think that's great. I'm going to take this by myself this year, so it's plenty small to do that, light enough anyways, and then I'll have plenty of room at night. So it should be pretty good. So this is the Seek Outside Silex. This is Dennis's. Brian's going to use one this year. The cool thing about this is you can, well, they have poles you can use. You can use trekking poles, you can use sticks, you can use whatever. But there's no zipper to this tent. It's zipperless. So you just slide that up, and that's how you get in and out. Obviously, you know, you come in the other way if you have the stove, but there's a couple of the stoves that Dennis has. If you want to talk about this stove.
Yeah, this, when I originally got this, I got it with the Cub stove, which I do believe they still have available for a limited time possibly. But you're talking a one-man outfit, total, stove, canopy, everything, 2.5 pounds. All right, you have 17 ounces with the canopy, and the rest obviously is a stove and chimney pipe. But 2.5 pounds on your back, being able to go into some places as a hot tent is, like I said, there's still times that we're in some situations and the comfort levels that we're able to achieve with that. I brought this as an example, and the reason why is I ended up going with a medium stove for this setup, which is a little bit more weight. And the only reason is both stoves do a good job. However, I'm not feeding the medium size as often as I do needing to feed more often the Cub. So I'm able to have longer duration heat source with larger diameter pieces of wood that I utilize in the medium. One of the cool features that I just got last year, which Seek Outside has now, is these glass fronts, which takes being in your outfit with these long durations of darkness to a whole different mental state. It's actually enjoyable to see that flicker of light throughout the night and to be able to visually see where you are with coals and whatnot.
It's funny, I've been wanting to get one of these forever.
Like
I've mentioned
I said,
it numerous times, so that's pretty cool.
It's
to see it
a
in
pretty
person.
cool feature that just came out.
Definitely got to get one.
But like I said, both have their advantages. Obviously, weight with the Cub, with the the U-turn version. But for a one-man, I've had a lot of fun with this. I carry trekking poles with me now every time I go out. The older I get, the harder it is for me with uneven ground, rock hopping, whatever it may be. So these trekking pole tents now have allowed us to obviously have 2 uses for items that we have on us. And that obviously is for our shelter and for trekking in and out.
And for a single man tent, it's got a lot of room
It does.
for stuff. Because
Yep.
like these on both sides can kind of act like a little vestibule.
Yep.
So you have this side with your stove, you can pile your wood in here around it, and then on the other side you can keep your
Yep.
pack and your gear, and you know,
Yep.
and then because you lay this way in the middle,
Correct.
you know, you're
Like
just sitting
Davis-
up in there eating dinner or whatever. You have your stove on one side, you have your stuff on the other, and
Yeah, these get pretty tough. With the guy outs, I've been in some snow conditions that this thing has been bulletproof for me, and yeah, it's awesome for a one-man shelter.
and these are a lot more versatile as to where you set them up.
Yep.
Compared to
And remember,
a
too,
typical teepee.
Yeah, the footprints sometimes is the hardest thing to find when we set up these. And obviously with these Silexes, there's a lot of places you can stop at the end of the day, kick out a little spot, and have
Yeah.
this thing set up in about 5 minutes.
Find a little like deer bed shelf on the side of a hill, and you can set it
Yep.
up. It's pretty neat.
Perfect early season tent. Throw it in a backpack and just go.
Or if you're tracking, like if you wanted to just
If-
stay on a buck track,
Yep.
If
this
you
is a
want-
great
if-
setup for that.
Yep.
If you want to be just totally mobile, like the other tents, especially the bigger you get, the more you want to have like one central location to hunt
Sure.
out of.
That's right.
For this, you can
The versatility.
just carry it with you all
Absolutely.
day and keep going.
Yep.
So it's pretty neat that way.
Yep. And again, like Dave mentioned earlier, with these stoves, we don't need to necessarily carry in the butane cans and carry in a cooktop and whatnot. This is our cooking source.
Yeah.
This is our heating source. This is
Yep.
our drying source.
Yep.
So again, multiple uses with one item.
So we just talked about 4 tents from Seek Outside. There's many tents to choose from. They have some that are smaller, like the Silex. Like you can get the Guardian. You can get tents bigger than the Red Cliff or the 6-man, like the 8-man, 12-man, 16-man. Whatever you choose is your preference. These are just some of the tents that we have and some of the things we like, and just wanted to kind of give you a tour of what we prefer. So if you guys are interested in Seek Outside tents and you either want to buy one or want to learn more, click on the link in the description and check out seekoutside.com. Use code BWB to get 10% off. Good luck out there, and if you have any questions, always feel free to ask.
Good luck, guys. New adventures.
Good luck and enjoy.